Years where I developed software systems that are fielded to our soldiers and Marines in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I was a program manager in the Army in my last assignment for an artillery command and control system. But in the first part of my service, I was an infantry officer, airborne qualified, Ranger qualified. I am the West Point graduate, class of 1970. I did serve in the 82nd Airborne Division. And I had one tour in Korea for 1 year unaccompanied. That means I left my family home. And I also served the 1st Division in Germany out of my first assignment. What I want to do this afternoon is I first want to show you a video from the Academy. It's going to be about 7 to 10 minutes long. Then after that, what I want to walk you through is the admission process, and this applies for whether you're going to or seeking to go to the Air Force Academy, Annapolis, West Point, or the Merchant Marine Academy, because all those 4 academies belong to the Department of Defense, and the funding for the cadets is paid for out of the Department of Defense. And so just again, I'll talk first about the nomination process, and then I will talk about the admissions process for West Point, what the Academy has to offer for your sons and daughters in the way of an education, and how you can contribute to your country both on active duty and post resignation from the Army or retirement from the Army. So I'm going to put the video up first. It's a fairly recent video. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll get to see some of the campus, as they call it at West Point. I can't call it a university. I'm used to calling it an academy. So just bear with my 1970 terminology.
The United States Military Academy at West Point, preparing cadets to become Army officers who will lead using strength of mind and body, strength of character and purpose. If you know who you are, if you know who you want to become, West Point will challenge you, shape you, inspire you to become a leader for a lifetime.
Trophy Point overlooking the Hudson River.
These granite walls along the banks of the Hudson, they protect and defend our time-honored values of duty, honor, and country. Values that not only charted the course of our great nation's history, but are the core of life as a West Point cadet, graduate, and Army officer. Stand with us, if you choose. Where America's past and future intersect. Those who follow their path to West Point must meet standards far more challenging than any other college or university. They must fulfill the demand to provide a worthy example for those they lead. If you seek an appointment to West Point, becoming an officer in the world's finest army must be your personal goal, not the dream of your parents, not the hope of your teachers, not the vision of your coach. You have to look deep within yourself and hear the call to lead, loud and clear. Other elite colleges and universities, the value of a West Point education is demonstrated when, as an Army officer, your leadership, even your everyday decisions, affect the lives of others around the world. Both civilian and military faculty educate cadets in more than 40 majors in liberal arts, sciences, and engineering. They share a level of expertise and life experience you simply can't find anywhere else. That's why West Point is ranked as the #1 public college in the nation. West Point graduates are effective strategic thinkers with both global and ground-level perspectives. Our classrooms are windows to the world, where you can learn to execute high-tech operations and experience real-time critical decision-making. Your education at West Point has an extraordinary mission: to prepare you for service as an officer in the United States Army. Cadets get more than a top-notch undergraduate education. They get world-class leadership experiences and the world's finest military and physical training. You train mentally, and you train physically. The demands are intense, and the pace is persistent. The sacrifices are real, but the rewards are greater. Every West Point cadet develops a warrior spirit. That spirit is called upon in every academy challenge, especially on the athletic fields, the fields of friendly strife. Cadets are fierce competitors in more than 25 intercollegiate sports and more than 20 intramural and club sports. Everyone participates in athletics with the critical benefit of honing your body, your reflexes, and your leadership skills, while experiencing firsthand the power of teamwork, so essential to your role as a United States Army officer. West Point graduates earn a Bachelor of Science degree and a commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. They choose from a broad range of Army career options, from infantry and aviation to medical service and finance, each with a critical mission for our nation and personal benefits that go beyond your service commitment. Some high school students will settle for just a college education.
Nothing's as amazing as a first taste of leadership.
But you can choose to live an extraordinary life.
I got to play laser tag with real tanks. How cool is that?
After West Point, your decisions are about the lives and well-being of others.
A life that leaves the world a better, safer place. A world on which you have left your mark as a graduate of West Point. If you think your personal path can lead you to the long gray line, you will stand beside Rhodes Scholars, astronauts, CEOs, governors, presidents, generals, and all West Point graduates who make history every day. Wearing the uniform of a United States Army officer is not just an occupation. It's a commitment to a way of life. It's what we do. It's who we are. It's how we lead. The United States Military Academy at West Point, developing leaders for a lifetime.
By the way, that's a B-29 and a B-17, and I'm a military historian as a hobby. A couple of comments as we come back to the academy. The first thing is for your young men and women, and parents in particular, need to understand that if your son and daughter desire to go to an academy, it has to be their choice. It can't be yours. You're not there. You're not the one going through the rigors of the academy. I had classmates who were there because it was family tradition. Dad went, Grandpa went, great-grandpa went, and I can tell you my classmates in those situations were not happy because they had to be there. But you'll see from the academy that we give a lot of opportunity. Yes, some of the classroom environment is more advanced than when I went there in the late 60s, but the strain, the time management, the discipline, the athletics, etc. are the same. We used slide rules back then. Now they have calculators and computers. It doesn't matter. You still have to manage your academic load of about 18 credit hours a semester, your company duty responsibilities. If you don't play core squad, which is Division I sports, or a team sport, you'll play company intramurals twice a week, all 3 seasons of the year. Athletically, if you're not an athlete, you will be made an athlete at the academy. Because I just mentioned intramurals, but also you will take, as a plea for the fellows, they'll take boxing, wrestling, and combat movement in their plebe year. Female cadets will do equivalents other than boxing. They will do karate and other type of things in defensive movements, and they all get to take survival swimming their 3rd year. You will be tested each year on your physical test, so it's a demanding environment. But how do you get in? That's the big question. I'm going to talk in 2 steps as per my introduction. The first part is the nomination. The second part is the admission process. You actually do those in parallel. Why do you need to be nominated? Who nominates you? Your congressman, I need to take one step back. I'm also a board member for the West Point Society of Orange County. I oversee all 9 districts in Orange County, and I have alumni and former military that cover 3 of those 9 districts. I guess I'm Mr. Answer Man. If you send me an email, even if I talk to you today because I recognize faces, if you walked up to me 3 weeks from now, I probably wouldn't recognize you because I deal with so many young men and women and parents. But on the nomination side, you would want to seek a nomination from your congressman, so you need to know what district you're in. The easy way to do that is you put in your you go to the postal office website, and from there you can put in your 9-digit zip code, and it will help you find your congressman. And we have Senator Boxer and Feinstein. If you would like me to send you some information after I'm done here, meet me back out at the table, and if I haven't given you a business card, I will give you one that you can contact me. So I talked about the 2 senators, I talked about your representative. You can also seek a vice presidential nomination. He has 5 slots. And if you're a son or daughter of a disabled veteran, and there's some other categories, you can seek a nomination through the presidential. Why do you need a nomination? Each congressman and each senator can have what we call 5 principal cadets in an academy at any one time. So in any given year, I'll pick Ed Royce on a CA 40. He can have 5 cadets at West Point, 5 cadets at Annapolis, 5 at Air Force, and 5 at Merchant Marine, filling his principal slots. That's when you go to seek a nomination, and then let's say they have 1 principal slot open, they can nominate up to 10 candidates for that slot. And you will compete by filling out an application form for your representative or your senator. A lot of background information. They require high school transcripts. They require 3 letters of resume. If you know your congressman, you can go on their website and either look under the tabs Services or Constituent Services, and then scroll down for Academy nominations. When you call into that office, you just ask to say, I want to talk to the person who handles Academy nominations. Mom and Dad, you should not be making a call. Your son or daughter should take that responsibility. They need to take ownership of seeking a nomination and filling out the admissions form. Remember, you won't be there by them on reception day. They'll be on their own. So the congressmen will have interview process just like the senators. I know a lot of them do it in the October, November, December, and into January time frame. They can rank you 3 different ways with your peers. One way they do it is they just rank you alphabetically, and they tell the academy, you pick the best qualified candidate out of the 10 that I've nominated. Another way is they will rank them 1 through 10. So at the academy, they will look at the file for the first candidate. If they are qualified from the admission side, they will receive the principal nomination. If they're medically disqualified or they turn down the appointment, then they go to number 2, and they work through that whole process. And the third way they can nominate is they will nominate the first 3, 1, 2, 3, and then they'll put 4 through 10 at large. When I received an appointment at the end of my sophomore year at college, I was number 3 out of 1 through 3. One of the fellows failed the medical. The other fellow accepted the appointment and turned it down to go to an Ivy League school, and I was number 3. And I got a telegram over the telephone back in June of 1966, 10 days before my class reported. 10 days later, I was learning my 4 answers. Yes, sir. No excuse, sir. Sir, I do not understand. And no, sir. Now you got to add ma'am to that. I also had classmates come in a few days after our class reported, which was 1 July. This year in Orange County, we actually had a candidate receive an offer 10 days before the class was to report. He had to decline it because of family reasons, but he is reapplying this year, and I expect that he'll get in this year. So you need to go through the nomination process, because once you're nominated, remember Congress and the Senate, they approve the defense budget. The 4 academies, West Point, Annapolis, Air Force, and Merchant Marine, all come under the Department of Defense. So you're a candidate, okay? You got nominated. I'm from West Point. You filled out your file, you're qualified. You're the principal nominee. I can extend you an offer because your congressman nominated you. That nomination says I can spend $450,000 on your education for the next 4 years. So they own the purse strings. If you have good SAT scores, you've got good high school scores, you play athletics, you're involved in clubs, extracurricular activities as a well-rounded candidate, you will have no problem getting nominated. It's just a question of where do you stand in that list. So let's go to the admission side. A lot different than the universities that you apply to. Some of the things are similar. A lot of them are not. The way we do it at West Point now, back in my day, I would fill out a lot of forms by hand, mail them in, then wait and wait and wait. Today what we do is, again, I'll use the gentleman here in the orange shirt and the lady here in the black sweater. They're male and female candidates. They're interested in applying to West Point, so they'll go to the admissions site at West Point, and you'll sign on and create a portal. In other words, it will be your access into the admissions site. You will get a candidate number from the academy, and then you create your password. Then you can open up that portal. There's 2 Adobe files sitting there that give you instructions, which I recommend the candidates pull down and read before they do anything. But on that form, on the left side, there's a lot of personal data that you fill out and a lot of things that you have to submit. I call it, you're painting a picture for back at the academy, because all they know about Paul Dixon is my SAT scores. They don't know anything else other than where I live in Fullerton, my dad's name, my phone number, and all that. They don't know what courses I took in high school. They don't know potentially my ranking in high school. They don't have my teacher evaluations. They don't have my essays to see if I can write articulately. They don't know if I played sports or not. That's what you as a candidate have to fill in. So one of the first things is you fill in your personal data. That's easy. You open your portal in December of your junior year. So for those of you who are juniors here today, in December, effective on 1 December, you can go in and open your portal for the class of 2016. That's the next class that will enter into West Point. In December, the only thing you'll be able to do is apply for what we call Summer Leadership Seminar. West Point, Annapolis, and Air Force do this. I'm not sure about Merchant Marine. But they offer 2 one-week periods where each of the academies bring in 500 young men and women from the United States for a week. So that's a total of 3,000 young men and women could go to SLS at the 3 different academies. That's a week where if you're selected, you have an opportunity to go to classes, to walk around the campus, see the library, the gymnasium, the physical education building. You'll do a lot of calisthenics. You'll take the candidate fitness assessment and a number of other things, but it gives you a familiarization for you to decide, is West Point the place I want to go? Whether you're accepted for SLS or rejected, it does not guarantee you will not get in or you will get into West Point. Because I've had candidates rejected and they felt they couldn't get in when in fact they eventually got into the academy. But it's just a good opportunity. In June so let's say I'm a junior right now and it's 2011. So in December I'm going to open my portal. Next June 2012, about the middle of the month, if I've submitted my SAT scores or ACT scores and they're high enough, they will open a second step kit for me. That allows me to see the rest of my portal. So one of the things that I want to watch for is, well, first I want to go to my high school counselor and ask him or her to send my high school transcripts in for my first 5 semesters of high school. That's giving a word picture to the academy of what courses you've taken, what grades. Have you taken honors courses? Have you taken AP courses? I then want to go fill out my candidate activity report. So I'll list that I played football, varsity football for 3 years. I lettered and I was a team captain. I'll also put in that I was on the swimming team and I was a team captain and earned a varsity letter. Or if I'm a female, one sport would be softball, another one would be basketball, another one would be soccer. You also fill in your extracurricular activities. They can be were you a class officer? Were you a club officer? Did you participate in clubs? Were you involved in your community? Were you in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts? If you were in scouting, were you an Eagle Scout for boys? Or if you were a young lady, were you a Gold Star Scout in the Girl Scouts? Did you do anything in your church as far as youth group, things like that? What we're looking for is involvement in the community, involvement in the school, leadership positions, and athletic ability. That's what the candidate activity report is, which we call the CAR. Again, your counselor will send that in and validate it. You'll have 3 questions that you'll have to write essays for. One of them is, why do you want to go to West Point and be an Army officer? The second one is, what are the qualities you think a cadet should have in an Army officer? And the third one's a very interesting and challenging one. How do you think you will relate dealing with other ethnicities, other genders, other religions? And how do you think you can adapt to that? Those are about 2,500 words. It's quality versus quantity. And don't repeat the same thing 3 different ways. Be original. So your essays go in. Then the other thing, and the hardest one that I see candidates have, is we ask for school official evaluations. So the gentleman here running the video camera, he's my math teacher at the moment. And his name is Mr. Smith for today. Mr. Smith, and he happens to be my calculus teacher because we look for Algebra 2, Pre-Calc, or Calc teachers to write in a student evaluation of me. He's now my science teacher. I will go to either my chemistry or physics teacher and ask him to write in an evaluation, and I'll go to an English teacher and do the same thing. If they all agree, I will come home, log in on my portal, I will put down their names, their email addresses, and phone numbers and send it to West Point. They in turn will each get an email from West Point with an electronic form to fill out. It's both questionnaires and they can add text to it. And they will write up by responding to the questions. And that gives another word picture. So I've talked about transcripts, I talked about essays, I talked about the candidate activity report, and I've also talked about the student or school official evaluation. Those all provide a word picture to the academy of who you are. The other thing you will do or be contacted is from DOTMR. We have a lot of acronyms in the government.